It is absolutely wonderful to be here back in Australian Parliament with the great news that Julian is home and free and back home and reunited with his family. It was so remarkable, having walked him into a police station in 2010, to be able to walk him onto a plane in London and escort him home to Australia. It's been 14 years of legal battles, 14 years of legal battles that he should never have had to fight. And to have him home in Australia is really a testament not just to the legal work that we've been doing, and I want to credit the remarkable lawyers that I've been working with, including my US co-counsel Barry Pollock, but our legal teams in the UK and Europe and around the world who have contributed to this outcome. But we really wouldn't be here without the support of the people that you see standing with us here today, the members of Parliament who came together to support Julian and to do advocacy for him here in Parliament. When I first started coming down here to Parliament in 2010 and 2011 and walked the halls, it was Scott Ludlam from the Greens who led that initiative, and we would speak to an empty room. After a decade of advocacy, bringing together people from across the political divide, the work that's been done here in Parliament by this group of friends has really changed things for Julian. The parliamentary resolution that was passed through this Parliament, with 2/3 of the support, government and the crossbench, was all the difference in terms of our advocacy internationally and in changing the political position in the United States and firming up our government's position. I want to thank our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, for the principled leadership that he showed as Leader of the Opposition in saying enough is enough, in his keeping his word as Prime Minister and raising it at the highest levels. Without that support, we wouldn't be where we are today. But that came from the Australian public demanding it, and it came from this group of members of Parliament who put it on the agenda and continued to put it on the agenda until it became the Australian government's position. And so I really want to thank everyone here today for their remarkable contribution. We wouldn't be here without the global movement of people that came together to support Julian and in support of free speech, and that's what made the difference. We've just negotiated the return of an Australian citizen from the most powerful country in the world who were prosecuting him for doing journalism. He faced 175 years in prison for publishing evidence of war crimes, human rights violations and corruption, serious wrongdoing by the United States, and that is the basis upon which he was in prison for 5.5 years in a high-security prison, and the basis for his plea that we've seen take place in the last few days. I think it's a remarkable testament to the Australian people that they came together to support this, to the Australian government and to Australian diplomacy that we were able to negotiate this outcome. It was a long and complex negotiation with the United States, but it wouldn't have been possible without the support of the Australian government and the members of the Australian Parliament who supported us along the way. So it is a very happy day to be here. I am delighted that Julian's home. I'm delighted he can be here with his family. And I think it's important that everybody continues to rally around the free speech issues that are so important in this case and continue to demand better free speech protections for journalists here in Australia and in the US and for whistleblowers. And with that, I want to make sure that we recognise David McBride, who is in prison here in Australia for having revealed information about war crimes in Afghanistan. It is unacceptable he's in prison, and I cannot stand here today to talk about free speech without mentioning him. And I know that Julian will be happy that we have. So thank you very much.